Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. Let's tell you that our countdown continues and we're having our eyes right on the ball. We're not letting our eyes away from what will become a major decision of Nigeria. It's 59 days before the major election, and Nigerians are anticipating, looking forward to being able to be part of a very historic democratic process in the country, the 2023 election. So if you have not gotten your permanent voter card, you just have a few days left, because in January, it will end, I guess, on the 15th of January or thereabout. So use the opportunity of the holiday to get your permanent voter card and let your votes count. The Labour Party and the presidential candidate today announced a former presidential aide, Mr. Akin Osuntokun, will be the new Director General of its Presidential Campaign Council. Mr. Osuntokun succeeds Doyin Okupe, who resigned lately as the Director General of the Campaign Council for the party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi. Mr. Cooper resigned his position as the DG of the Peter Obi campaign. This follows a federal high court Abuja judgment which found Cooper guilty of receiving over 200 million naira cash from former National Security Advisor Colonel Sambo Dasuki, and also sentenced him to 2 years imprisonment. Mr. Osuntokun served as political advisor to former President Olusegun Obasanjo and as director of the presidential campaign of the People's Democratic Party in 2011. Mr. Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate, spoke about the decision of the Presidential Campaign Council on Akin Osuntokun.
We are pleased to announce one of our comrades, a man that is well known, also from the same geopolitical zone, because the campaign council, the party offices are well structured along that line, because we appreciate the fact that we must employ federal character as is enshrined in the Constitution and all of that. And so having put all of this into consideration and having consulted widely, we have come to the inevitable conclusion to replace the DG with Akin Osuntokun.
Was the national chairman of the Labour Party, Comrade Aburi. But the presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, was speaking at that same event. He spoke about the security situation, the 2023 elections, and what his campaign manifesto has in store for Nigeria in that respect.
A new Nigeria is possible. We can build a new Nigeria. We can build a new Nigeria where Nigerians are happy, where Nigerians have a means of livelihood and live in their nation, hopefully, that things will get better, because hope is what drives every process. Today we have a sense of hopelessness. Like I said earlier, that people live in an IDP camp in their country. It shouldn't be. Once they remain in IDP, we're in IDP. And you have seen a series of bad news all over the place. You know, on this month, a young lady who went to work was raped and killed in Jos, capital of one of our states. And on Christmas Day, another one was gunned down in Lagos. And kidnapping and killings and everything is all over the place. So we can't continue this way.
All right, you heard the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi. Tonight, part of what Mr. Peter Obi said now, the killing, a Christmas Day killing of a pregnant lawyer in Lagos coming back from church, but a trigger-happy police officer in Lagos gets us talking. Just about 2 years ago, there was an outrage in the land about the activities of a Department of the Nigerian police force. And this is happening again. Well, today we will be dissecting some of these issues for you. And also we'll go to Guzo in Zamfara on another part of the program. We'll be discussing the APC and their chances in the northwestern region of the country. What happened today in Zamfara State? Is there now unity in the ranks of the APC? Governor Matawale, Senator Marafa, and Senator Abdulaziz Yari. We'll be hearing from the former governor tonight. Stay with me, everyone. First and foremost, let's check with your political roundup stories and let's bring you up to speed.
Governor Maro Fintri of Adamawa State has pledged to provide a level playing ground for peaceful, free, fair, and credible elections in the state. Governor Fintri stated this at a one-day retreat for senior police officers and political actors in preparation for the 2023 general elections organized by the State Police Command in Yola.
A peaceful, free, and fair election is a major prerequisite for any democracy that is worth its salt. Indeed, it is the hallmark of an ideal democracy all over the world.
The governor of Cross River State, Professor Ben Ayed, is asking the people of the state to vote for the candidates of the All Progressives Congress in the 2023 general elections. Addressing supporters of the party in his hometown of Kakum in Obudu local government area, where he distributed food items, Governor Ayed told the people that his administration has achieved a lot of success in various sectors and urged them to collect their permanent voter cards and vote for the APC in the coming elections.
It's by family units we're distributing these rights to guarantee that every single family or combination of families that vote in one polling unit all go together to share their rights.
The governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Abia State, Mr. Alex Oti, is promising the people of the state that his administration will invest in education if elected as governor. Mr. Oti, who was speaking in Oro community in Arochukwu local government area in the state, knows that the state government under his watch will ensure that all measures will promote the well-being of teachers and ensure that all schools are well equipped with modern education facilities.
One of the first things that we intend to do is to ensure that education is properly funded, the teachers are paid, laboratories are equipped, libraries are equipped.
Governor Dara Sishako of Taraba State says 5 bandits have been killed in Mansamari town of Sedona local government area of the state. The governor made the announcement when heads of security agencies, traditional and religious leaders, youth, members of the judiciary, legislature, and executive council members paid him a Christmas homage in his hometown in Takum local government area. The governor says an operative paid the supreme price during the gun duel. He appealed to the residents of the state to ensure that the 2023 general elections is free of violence, threatening to discipline those who believe in rascality in politics to serve as deterrent to others.
I'm assuring you that this time around, the police will whip you. Any rascal boy who have no new training, who his father cannot discipline him in his house, and who comes to the public domain to expose how bad their family is, we will try to use the government institution to discipline that person.
The Southeast coordinator for PDP Presidential Campaign Council and the former governor of Abia State, Senator Theodore, is calling on party supporters in the state to remain united and mobilize support for the party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, and his running mate, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa. Senator Oji stated this while inaugurating the State Presidential Campaign Council in Umuahia, Abia State.
Now that the party has brought their candidates, it is left for us to support them, to make sure that they win.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the program. Our first port of call tonight is on terms of discussion is on the matter relating to the Christmas Day killing of a pregnant Lagos lawyer. And this has caused a lot of outrage from Nigerians, political personalities, candidates have been speaking about it. President Muhammadu Buhari has spoken about it. The governor of Lagos State, where this happened, has also spoken about it, and he has asked that there should be an expedited investigation into the matter and justice must be served. This is also coming on the heels of the very much acclaimed protest against the activities of arbitrariness in the activities of some unscrupulous police officers who just take laws into their hands. And let me just show you quickly what some of these issues have cost our nation. and perhaps also will give you an understanding of what some organizations have put together in terms of the records in extrajudicial killings and the unlawful behaviors of some police officers. The kind of killings that we have seen that are reported in 2020, in 2021 also, and some of these that has caused some kind of outrage in the land. Tonight, I'm being joined by the Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission, Mr. Anthony Ojukwu, who joins us from the United States virtually. Thank you so much, Mr. Ojukwu, for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you.
How does this come to your mind, considering the heavy reporting of the NSAS and the protests that we saw nationwide, and some of the promises that we got that things will be better in terms of police relation or engagement with citizens, and in relation also to their mode of operation when they have arms and ammunition against citizens. This latest incident is not just the one that we have experienced. On Sunday, I spoke with a former chairman of the NHRC, Professor Chidi Odinkalu, who said that there is a long list of killings of lawyers. And these kind of killings are not only limited to lawyers, but he was highlighting how much of the killings that we have seen within the legal cycle. But this latest event, how does it come to mind, considering all of these past events?
It's indeed very sad that this kind of thing keeps happening over and over again. That somebody who went for Christmas service will not get back home. We want to use this opportunity to condole the family and also the Nigerian Bar Association. But this calls to mind the need for constant police reforms. You recall the NSAS protest, where Nigerians trooped out in their numbers to protest this kind of situation. And one would say, since 2020 till date, has anything changed? Well, it does seem as if the situation has not substantially improved, because we still hear of these killings, this kind of harassment of citizens every day. We have carried out the NSAS panels, where we recommended that the NHRC and all the states, about 28 states, investigated police brutality all over this country. And at the headquarters here in Abuja, we have recommended the Police Service Commission that 28 should be, prosecuted, 25 officers dismissed, 15 other officers for various disciplinary cases, and 4 other officers for demotion in rank. But that is not enough. The National Human Rights Commission is collaborating with the Office of the Vice President to do a kind of overview of all the cases that happened during the 2020 NSAS protest, collating all the reports of all the panels, and of course, making sure that the further necessary steps are taken, including the payment of compensations. Substantially, the NHRC has paid compensation of about 500 million to those affected. Some states like Osun and Ekiti have also paid compensation. But the other states also need to do so. And more importantly, the officers involved in this kind of behavior needs to be held accountable. And that brings it to the next level, where the various attorney generals of the various states needs to prosecute those who have been indicted by the various panels. But police reforms is an ongoing thing. We have been training police officers on how to mainstream human rights into their operations. But like you know, because of that of funds, it is not so easy to train every single police officer. So the The tactics we are using for now is the kind of step-down trainings where we train senior police officers who will now, in their various units, step down this training. But I think there's need for dedicated funding for police reforms so that these officers who mount roadblocks and things like that get direct impact of these trainings. And we hope that with time things will improve. But as it does seem now, these killings have happened so many times, and Nigerians are really losing patience with
Mr. Ojukwu, I mean, I dare say that these killings are unnecessary, they are barbaric, unacceptable to Nigerians, and not to only Nigerians, to any human beings, of course. Because if the police are out there to save lives, why are they taking them? If anybody deserves to die, let the court of law decide that. Let me show you some figures, first and foremost, because we need to find a lasting solution to these erratic and these barbaric behaviors of police officers on duty and just cocking their guns and shooting down innocent citizens. Let me show you some figures that some organizations have put together in relation to incidents of killings involving police or uniformed men and ordinary citizens in Nigeria. In 2020 alone, there are incidents reported by Global Rights of 271 incidents involving police brutality and extrajudicial killings. In 2021, in fact, this is even more because there are more activities in the Southeast. So we'll be showing you now. Between January and September alone, there are 164 cases. This is according to the Global Rights. Now, in the Southeast region of the country alone, this is what the Amnesty International report have revealed, that about 271 incidents were documented, and this is just between March to June 2021. If you look at what happened, because there are heavy activities in the southeast region of the country where people were arrested and issues were raised onto the activities of unknown gunmen and all of that, and which brought up the cases of the killings that we're seeing involving police officers, men in uniform, against ordinary citizens. Now, I thought that as a people, we have arrived at a model in which police officers need to behave. If you go into some other crimes, you wouldn't see people carrying AK-47 on the street. I mean, there was a friend of mine who had asked me, as soon as he got into the country, that Sean, is there a war in your country? Because you could see people carrying AK-47, very unusual in some other crimes. Can we do policing with less of these arms and ammunition, not to talk of an accidental discharge or unlawful use of these arms against innocent citizens?
Yeah, the rules of engagement of the Nigerian police dictate when they should carry arms. You can do law enforcement. It depends on the situation. I mean, there are situations where you use maybe sticks. There are situations where you use water canisters. There are situations where you use gas canisters. The situation dictates. It's not every situation that requires use of AK-47. But having said that, it's a matter of training and making sure that officers that carry these arms are responsible enough to handle them. We have talked severally about the mental situation of our law enforcement officers. Shehu, I can tell you that even my own staff that are not law enforcement officers, because of the kind of experience we have in the field during investigation of cases, we go through a lot of trauma, and these things affect people who do this kind of job. So most law enforcement officers also need trauma counseling and psychological treatment to make sure that they're even mentally balanced to handle these arms. You know, a lot of things have influenced officers to lose control of themselves, and then the citizens fall victims of these things. When we talk about police reforms, it involves all these kind of making sure that before officers are allowed to carry arms to discharge their duties, they are in the correct frame of mind, they are well trained, they are balanced, they are not drunk. There are so many things to be put into consideration so that we have the kind of police law enforcement we need. So it is a sad situation, I would say. The numbers are quite troubling, especially the numbers coming up from the southeast in the recent past. You remember, since the jailbreak in the southeast, the level of extrajudicial killings in the southeast has gone to astronomically high numbers, and this is very, very worrisome. You can also see the level of attacks on INEC offices and also police officers as well, because police officers are also human beings. They are also parents. They are also fathers to people. And if you keep attacking them like that, that is not good for the country. So in all, both the citizens and the law enforcement officers all owe each other a duty of respect of their rights. And this is very, very important for us to have the kind of law enforcement we need. The police should be your friend. So the question has always been, is the police really doing enough? And the citizens on their own part, are they also living up to their responsibilities? Both of us need to work hand in hand. But we need to invest more in law enforcement. We need to invest more in the citizen ethics and responsibilities, so that at the end of the day, we have a balanced society where the law enforcement will respect, know that primarily their duty is to protect the rights of people. That's the primary responsibility of law enforcement officers. And on the side of the citizens also owe a responsibility to assist law enforcement officers to also protect them. So that is the kind of law reform we need to have. That is the kind of society we need to have, especially as we are coming near the elections now. It is very, very important that the law enforcement officers protect the right to participate in government, to participate in voting, to participate in elections, so that we complain every day that the number of people who actually come out to vote are very, very few. It's probably because people, when they check the security situation, they prefer to stay in their homes. If they are not sure their life will be secured when they come out to vote, it is going to affect them coming out to exercise their civic right. So we think we need to change how things are being done, how law enforcement is being done, and mainstream human rights into them, so that we can have a better society, which we all need to have.
Yeah, so Mr. Ojukwu, I mean, you've explained what needs to be done, but I imagine that there was a big lesson that had been learned from 2020 and the incident that it culminated into. Very sad scenario that it played out, a very big lesson for a nation, not only for the people, also for the leaders, October 2020 in Lagos and in some part of the country. Now, I thought we have learned a very big lesson, but it doesn't look to me that anything has really changed, has it? I don't think that a badly paid police officer is justified because of his welfare to be killing people. Well, mental issues are also very important. It goes down to the training, isn't it? But the crux of the matter is the political leadership of the country. Has it learned any lesson at all? If there is any, can you tell us what has changed between 2020 October and now?
Well, I think the change is coming, but very gradually, to the extent which you may notice. But for us at the Commission, you see, after the NSAS panels, we now see some police officers being more careful in the discharge of their duties. But the change is still very, very small, because you recall before the NSAS, what you would hear any police officer say is, I will kill you and nothing will happen. But right now, if you have 100 police officers, maybe 20 will say, I'll kill you and nothing will happen. 80 will not say that. So because the point is, there is a consequence because of the NSAS protest. Those who have been indicted are going through disciplinary processes. So the officers who are there now cannot say with all certainty that if they do, like, see what has happened now in the Lagos case, in the Ajah case. The Inspector General of Police has immediately ordered that the person should be arrested and then that the law should have its course. NBA is talking, the National Human Rights is talking, other civil society members are talking. So you can be very sure that Ajah case is not going to be swept under the carpet. Now, that is a lot of improvement, emanating from the NSAS protest. Because if immediate action is not taken, the lesson from NSAS is that it may snowball into all other things. So what is happening now is that nobody wants to be caught napping. You can see a lot of cases where instant disciplinary action has been taken, even by the Inspector General of Police, to deal with errant police officers. So, and a lot of early room trials are going on. This may not be in the eyes of the public. You can see the response unit responding to, before, maybe when you call them, it will take a day or two, but now when you call them within some hours.
Mr. Ojukwu, I mean, I was the reason why I asked that question was we shouldn't even get to the point where an innocent citizen dies. First and foremost, that woman that was killed was carrying a baby. Is a mother to a child or to children. Is a wife to a husband. Is a sister to somebody. Is a sibling to somebody. Is a child to somebody. Is a neighbor to somebody. Is a worker, an employee of somebody. And this shouldn't have happened in the first place. I mean, and I'm saying that if all of those that happened 2 years ago, in 2020, happened, we shouldn't even, get to the point where anyone will be shot dead. That is the point I'm making. That, I remember that America, the way it responded to the 9/11 incident, it was, they made strategic and direct answers. They gave direct answers into solving or tackling terrorism problems in their country. And if we have on a huge scale what happened in Nigeria in 2020, I thought that there would have been some innovation into how police officers relate with citizens. For example, body cameras. I thought that the nation, Nigeria, would have invested money into ensuring that this kind of thing does not even happen in the first place. And that was why I was asking, is there anything that has changed anyways? Because if people are killed, they're gone.
I can agree with you, Shem, that the response is not as fast as we would want it. Of course, a lot of laws have been passed. Yes, the Police Act has been amended. There's the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. There is the Criminal Justice Act. There are a lot of law reforms legal reforms that have been going on. I agree that we could do a lot better than this. It's the death of a single person, the death of one single Nigerian is annoying enough. Especially the circumstances. This lady died was totally unnecessary. It was avoidable. It's condemnable. However, but I don't want a situation of total loss of hope for us. I believe that even the police authorities feel very, very bad about the situation. It's just that we need to do a lot more. The country needs to invest a lot more in reforms, in police reforms. But I don't, like you said, the political authorities, the investment they're making in law reforms is not creating the impression to me as if it's serious enough to deal with the volume of problems that emanated from the NSAS protest. I think we need to do more as a country because, like you said, this kind of situation that are totally avoidable should not have happened. However, However, you will also agree with me that the level of illiteracy, with poverty in the country and situations, it is totally not possible to have 100% clean slates in this kind of situation. But the most important thing is, if anything goes wrong, those people must be held accountable and justice has to be served. And in this case, we're going to ensure that justice is served.
All right. Let's take a breather, Mr. Ojukwu, because anything that involves the livelihoods, the lives, the welfare of an average citizen makes me a bit emotional. And as much as a journalist, you want to just do your work without any emotion, you also know that the essence of governance is about the people. And when that is lost, I mean, it's lost on me on how a government will exist when people's lives have just been, are taken without, it does look like we're just counting numbers. And that's why I'm looking, if a child is bitten by a dog, a parent will probably keep the dog away far from that compound so that that doesn't happen again. Not saying, oh, I hope that we guard the dog from not biting again. I mean, that's not drastic enough. I mean, for those who are parents. But we'll take a break, everyone. And when we come back, we'll talk more about this and finding solutions. Whether or not there will be, with this incident, maybe government will sit up better than they have done and make sure that no life is lost again in this respect. Trigger-happy police officers, that's not the first time we are hearing it. This should not continue in our country. We're not animals. We'll be right back, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. We've been speaking about the issues of extrajudicial killings, police rules of engagement, and the recent killings that we have seen in Lagos on Christmas Day. Mr. Anthony Ojukwu, the Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission, has been speaking with us from Florida in the United States. And of course, I've now been joined by a retired police officer and a lawyer who will be also weighing in on this matter. Barrister Lobby, who is joining us now in the studio here with me. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Shane, for inviting me.
Yeah, I mean, how does this incident that happened on Christmas, how does it come to you?
For me, it's very embarrassing to the nation and the police in particular, because police are meant to protect life and property, to police and ensure that the rights of the citizens are not being abused, by the police. So for me, it's very embarrassing, and I think the police authority should do something about it, because becoming too frequent. At least we could have learned from the past experience of SARS, this end SARS agitation and protest. The police ought to have done something to ensure that the men are trained, to ensure that trained to carry their function, policing in line with democratic policing and democratic principles. You see, policing is all about the rights of the citizens. Policing is about ensuring that law and order is being maintained. The Constitution provides for the right to life. Not right to life, also even the rules of engagement, which you mentioned earlier. What they call the first order talked about, or first order 237. First order 237 stipulates when a police officer can use his firearms. And it's very, very clear. And every police officer ought to know that. That's one of the basic principles. They need to know how to use their firearms. But it's unfortunate that maybe in recent time they have abandoned the issue of training. Training is very, very key and important. And untrained police officer is a threat to the society and to the institution.
Let me ask you. You are the expert here, and so I'm looking at it. It's like this pen I'm holding. I assume. I mean, I'm illiterate when it comes to arms handling, but you can tell us. This is a pen. I can activate this pen by clicking on this and make it can function. So before a gun is being shot, it has to be cocked. It has to be activated.
Definitely.
And so the case of trigger happy. I mean, does it make sense to you that someone just gets trigger happy, cocks a gun on an innocent citizen, and just shoots a person down?
You see, like I said earlier, training is very, very important. And for you to go out as a policeman and to be given a firearm, you must have done some elements of musketry training. That's how to handle firearms.
But this is an ASP who would have spent nothing less than 10 years or thereabouts.
That is like the training I'm talking about. Some officers don't even know that the first order 237 is very, very, very important. And again, before you move up for duty, for instance, you are supposed to be rules of engagement, the men are supposed to be brave on rules of engagement. When I was in service, if I lead an operation, I would direct my men straight. You don't use their firearms or tear gas until I direct you to do so. So leadership is very, very, and supervision is very, very important. Okay, sometimes these men are posted out, they're not being supervised, they leave them to themselves, and when they leave to themselves, they do what they like. So I think the force should emphasize on training. It's very, very, because this is very embarrassing.
Should we be having police officers carrying AK-47 on the road?
It depends on the situation. If it is for traffic control, you don't need to carry arms at all. But if it is just maybe patrol for stop and search operations, it's only when it's very necessary. Like I said, for the 237 provides when the police can use firearms. But I admit that officer probably who is an ASP, I'm surprised an ASP, not even a constable, not even an...
So I'm wondering, because I've seen in other crimes, police officers usually, they have their...
smaller arms.
Their smaller arms.
Beretta, pistol,
and
revolver.
So why our own police officer, why don't we see them, instead they carry those big guns, the long ones, and I mean... that is, in fact, it makes you get scared of the police officer that is supposed to be your friend, in quotes.
Yeah, the police was supposed to be your friend. Like when I was in service, I tell you, when I was CPFC, I tell them, I said, look, as you want your brother and sister to be police in your village or community, that's why you're going to do police people of Abuja. Like I said, training is important. You know, you should have carrying an AK-47 or Mark IV, like former Mark IV. The Beretta pistol is normally being used by when you are maybe like escorting a VIP, you are going to an event center, and maybe for personal protection, use revolver basically inside a pouch. But if it also, like the situation in the country today determines that, makes it possible that for people should carry AK-47 because of terrorism, this kidnapping, this violent crime is very prevalent.
Mr. Alobi, on a final note, before you came, I showed some figures about the incident of extrajudicial killing. These are human beings. The father to people, mother, people's children, people's siblings, and all of that. These are not, I mean, wood or just numbers. These are real human beings.
Sure.
And it's making us look as though we are animals as a people, when people are just being killed unnecessarily by officers that are supposed to protect them. On the final note, if you have the power, as you sit here right now, to ensure that extrajudicial killings don't happen in this country again, or police officers act outside of the rules of engagement, what would you do? What is that one thing that you would do urgently?
First and foremost, training, I've always emphasized. Training, for me, I ensure that my men are trained. And then when they are moving for a new operation, they must be properly briefed on the rules of engagement. Don't do this, don't do that, and you must ensure the men are supervised. But when you leave them, if you go for an operation, you leave the men to themselves. You know what they like. They can go out of the laid down principles on rules of engagement. The important thing is supervision. When officers are sent and when men are sent, leadership determines followership. Right. When if you are in an operation, you have to supervise the men and make sure that they do what they ought to do at the appropriate time.
Mr. Lawrence Alobi, thank you so much. A former commissioner of police and a lawyer, thank you so much indeed. Mr. Anthony Ojukwu, your parting shot tonight. If I have the power tonight, I would declare a state of emergency on the issue of the rules of engagement of police officer, because it's unnecessary. We are not in the state of war. I mean, where there is in the theater of war, I mean, it's agreed that the firing of enemy can be allowed, but on the street of Nigeria, police that are supposed to be protecting citizens, killing the citizen, is unheard of. Your parting shot for us tonight in 30 seconds.
My parting shot is we should not lose hope. The political leaders must take seriously this issue of police reforms. The message I'm getting is that we're just taking it easy. We need to deal with it holistically if we want law enforcement to improve in this country.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Anthony Ojukwu, Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission. Thank you indeed. Thank you so much also, Mr. Lawrence. It's good to see you again. Let's go straight to Guzo in Zamfara State, where the former governor of Zamfara State and APC chieftain, Governor Abdulaziz Yari, joins us live. Thank you so much indeed, Governor Yari, for joining us tonight. Give us a sense of what today's rally. You began the rally or your campaign in a very unusual territory, which a lot of people who understand the politics of Zamfara State will say that is the opposition main ground. What informed that decision today, Governor Yari?
Sure, I didn't understand you by making the opposition main ground. What's the opposition main ground?
I don't know if you can hear me. It seems to be some gap in the connections. If you can hear me, I can shoot again. You went to that area today for your campaign, and the question I was asking is there a reason why you decided to go from there to launch your campaign?
No. That area, that local government has a particular the local government, Auranamoda, that we went, it has its historic, its life of APP, AMPP, and APC. First, is the home base of our late political godfather, that is Marapa Sokoto Alhaji Umaru Ali Shinkapi, where his mother was born there, and he is from that particular zone, Sartorial zone. So if I could remember, a launching of a governor in 1998, it happened in Goso only once. But Mahmoud Shankar in 2007, myself in 2011, and 2015, and 2019, as well as today in 2022, we are launching a campaign in Auranamoda, local government. So I think
that's the reason why I was asking, because I know Auranamoda is being a very tough area for your party. But let's look at Senator.
No. Let me take you correct. Since military regime in 1998, we expected as APP to win not less than 11 local government. And unfortunately, maybe we miscalculate. We only get 7 local government. And the opposition, PDP, gets 7 local. And part of the 7 you got, since 1998, Auranamoda was part of the local government. And there was no time that we lost election in Auranamoda even once.
All right, thank you for that. Let's look at what you said today's rally looked like. You look at Senators Marafa, Governor Matawale, and yourself. The party has been sharply divided along the supporters of these 3 men, yourself and the governor and Senator Marafa. Are you telling us today with this launch of the campaign that the House is now fully united? If so, what are the basis for the unity? How have you been able to allow the leadership to be able to operate under one roof?
Well, I think, Shehu, if you are following the terrain, I believe Senator Marapa one time has one-on-one with you, and he briefed you on why we came together. And it is for the best interest of all of us, our state. And you see, there's no community, state, or nation can be able to survive the real insecurity and political instability. And you know, our economy in Zamfara State is a meager economy, and in terms, it has so many problems dwindling the state. So if there's this a kind of understanding come together, so there's no reason that we will not go for it. And I'm telling you, the issue of that we have divided is in those days. You can see not only Matawale Marapa and Yari, But you can see Erima, you can see Mahmuda, you can see myself, you can see Matawale, you can see Marapa, you can see Dan Sadao, you can see Sabia U, you can see Lord Daya, you can see many of them. Those that are all different come differently, but all come together for the purpose of best interests.
Governor Yari,
people,
unfortunately, time is not our friend and we couldn't get to connect with you early enough. But I'd like you to promise us that very soon you will be able to come into the studio so that we can have a very, very deep conversation about the politics of Zamfara. But please do. So, but as a parting shot, because of our time tonight, can you tell Nigerians, because the 2023 election is going to be a very tough one. In the northwest and the northeast region of the country, it will be a battleground for the APC, the PDP, and even other political parties. How difficult will it be for Bola Tinubu, the presidential candidate of the party, in Zamfara, for example?
I totally agree with you. APC will have so many challenges. But the simple thing that we are going to deploy to pass the fact. These are the people doing the election, and we are the leaders. We know how to go to them and talk to them. Not that because we have done better, but we have done our best. And by God's grace, we are going to door and talk to them and let them understand where we are today and where we are going tomorrow.
Governor Yari, I will look forward to having you right here in the studio. Let's talk about the politics of Zamfara State, the northwest region of the country, and 2023. Yeah, please. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, that's how far we can go tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. God bless Nigeria.